3, 2.
Hey guys, it's Kaylee with Calumet. In today's video, we're going to go over a WonderBox and bringing power into it and wiring into your pulse meter. Let's talk about our WonderBox and wiring main power into it and our accessories. So this is going to be your WonderBox here. It's going to come with keys and USB stick in the box, just like the Super Box. So we're going to open up our box here. Now you'll notice it's a little different than the Super Box. You've got an external box that you're going to be bringing your power into, and then we're going to be bringing our meters into this main box portion here. So this box as well is IP54 rated, which means it can be mounted out in the elements. This inner box here, this is not rated for outdoor use, so it needs to be inside this metal casing. You know, have your weather stripping and everything that comes built in the box to protect it. There is a USB cable that's going to run out the side of the box. We usually leave this inside the box during shipping just to prevent it from getting damaged. You do need to make sure that this cap is on at all times. Let your customers know, you know, they need to keep the cap on so there's no corrosion or moisture getting inside of this. All right, so this box as well is going to be -4 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's going to happen at the -4 is your LCD screen is going to freeze. We do sell the heater assembly that goes inside the box that powers off the box that'll keep that screen a little bit warmer for the colder climates. So we're going to get into wiring our main power into this box. It requires its own dedicated breaker, so this cannot be sharing with anything. No lights in the parking lot, nothing else. Your pump and your box should not be sharing power. So we're going to open this up here, and this is where our main power is going to go. So there's no opening of this portion yet. We're going into the what we call the UL box on the side. So we're going to get our power cord here. Real simple. We've got little screws in the top here. We're just going to undo those. We're going to place our wires in, and then we're going to close down the clamp. So the first one we're going into here is to the far right on the bottom terminal. That's going to be our ground wire. So this is your ground coming from your breaker, dedicated power to the box. That's going to be our ground. Now the next wire is going to be our ground terminal. That's going to be our hot terminal. So we're just going to undo the screw on that one as well. And we're going to go into the terminal with our hot wire, and then we're just going to tighten that screw down to clamp down on the wire. Next wire we have here is going to be our blue, which is our neutral. So this is going to be for your neutral wire. So we're just going to undo the screw, and then we're going to go straight into this terminal here and tighten it back up to this one. Now we're going to talk about our contactor relay that's going to come with these boxes here. So we use these because they have an open, closed, and auto feature. So you actually have, you know, two options to bypass this box. So you'll see down at the bottom of the box you have a black switch that's going to throw it into bypass, or if this is easier access for you, we also can flip it into closed. So we have closed, open, auto. Auto means that it's waiting for the box to send it the 120 volts. Closed means that it's always going to have power coming from the breaker, and open means that it's not going to do anything. So if you're out there wiring it up and you want to test your pump, you're going to flip to closed. Just make sure your pump kicks on. That tells us that the pump is working. That, you know, if our pump isn't turning on, we have some kind of setting wrong in the box. So on these contactors, we have 3 wires. We have a blue and white, a black and white, and a yellow and white. So we do not need the blue and white. So we can either cap that or just cut it off, either one you want to do. And then the black and white and the yellow and white are going to be for our activation. So we're going to get 120 volts out of these 2 terminals here at the top. So we have a brown terminal, which is going to be for our black and white, which is going to be our hot to wire in. So hot going to the contactor is going to go into your brown terminal. And terminal right next to it, that's going to be your blue terminal, which is going to be your neutral, which is your yellow and white for your contactor relay. So all our box should be doing is sending power to this contactor relay. So no power from the pump is touching our box. And then we just tighten that down like we do the other units. Now, the two orange wires on the bottom of the contactor relay, one of those is going to go to your new breaker from the pump. Remember, separate from the box, new breaker for the pump, and this is going to go to your hot to the pump. So all this is doing is just breaking in, and we're controlling the hot that's going out to your pump. So we're going to set that to the side. That's wiring in the main power here, and then you would just reattach your cap on, and good to go on that. Now we're going to talk about wiring in your pulse meters and nozzle switches, all of your accessories, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's behind this faceplate on our WonderBox. So in this one, we've just got 4 screws holding our faceplate on. So we're just going to disconnect those. And now a lot of this, since we have this box on the side, is going to be wired already. So you're going to see a lot of, wires coming in from over here into this terminal here. So we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to touch this. It's already pre-wired. It's pulling power from this box on the side. So now on the faceplate, we do have a ribbon cable. So you'll notice one side has metal prongs and one side's flat black. So when you connect this back, you want the metal prongs to be facing down. So we want to keep the ribbon straight. They're going to face down. You'll just clip them back into these terminals here. And then you have a white clip that's going to go down towards the bottom where it plugs in. So we're just going to set our faceplate to the side. Always set it to the side. Don't let it hang by those ribbon cables. They are fragile, and eventually it's going to cause damage to your ribbon cable. So over here on the left-hand side, this is where we're wiring in all of our accessories. So the very first terminal you have is going to be your V+ terminal. So we're going to wire in both our 2-wire version of pulser, and then we have a 4-wire version. So here we have the FMT3. This comes with 2 wires. Your FMOGs with no display also going to come with 2 wires. So here you're going to have a brown and a white wire. Now, the very first terminal, that's going to be for your power to your pulser. This pulser here does not require power, so we're going to skip over that one. So your first hole should be blank. Next one down is going to be your P1. This is going to be for your signal. So if you're wiring in some other kind of, pulse meter, then that is where your signal wire is going to go, such as the Fill-Rite, 900s. That's going to be your S on the meter. So these little terminals here, how they work, you have a little square next to them. You need a micro flathead. You're going to go in there and you're going to pull over to the right, and it's going to open up those teeth for you. So the next one down, that's going to be your ground. So here's going to be where our brown wire goes. So here's our brown wire here. We just clip it in. All right, and then our next 2 down are going to be for our nozzle switch. So we have an NS and we have a ground. So on our nozzle switches that are low voltage, you're going to have 2 blue wires. Doesn't matter which one goes in which terminal. You're going to put one in the NS and one in the ground. Then towards the bottom, you have an LS plus and an LS minus. This is going to be for your level probes, your wired in level probes. So the wires for those are going to go there. It varies depending on if you've got, different kind of probes, explosion proof, what bar probe you have. The wire colors are going to be a little different. So just check your manual. One side should say ground and one side should say positive. And it's pretty obvious, the plus and the minus. Your minus is going to be your ground, and then your plus is going to be your plus. So now we're going to talk about the FMG 4-wire version. So we're actually only going to need 3 of these wires for this setup. So your yellow is going to be your positive. So that is going to go into your V plus terminal. So we'll just put that in here as well. So this is going to put out 5 to 12 volts DC depending on what your meter needs. You do want to make sure it is DC and that you're not running any other kind of pulser that's connected to a 110 power source, because it's going to backfeed into this terminal and it's going to burn your board. So the next wire we have, you can pick between your white or your green. It's a dual pulse, so they're going to pulse exactly the same thing. For ease, we're just going to use the green one. It doesn't matter which one you use, whichever is easier for you to wire in there. The other one we can either cap or just kind of set off to the side. We're not going to need it. So then we have our green wire for our signal, and then in the ground we're going to have our brown wire. So brown wire is going to go into the ground. Same thing, we're just pulling back those teeth, and then we're wiring in the brown wire into our ground slot there. All right, and so now we have that pulser wired in. We're going to talk about some other features on this box as well. So now you see in the middle there's a dip switch 1 and 2. So if the number 1 dip switch is up, you're in the back menu, which we'll go over in another video over the WonderBox menus. We're in a back menu where we can change our interface, we can reset the serial number, and we can also, you know, set our date and time, do factory reset, a lot of those different things there. Here you have the fuse here. Some of them have black, some of them have white knobs. So either one of those, you can just pull that out. That's also helpful if you're out in the field, you know, wiring up a box. Obviously you still have hot coming in from your breaker, but if you just need to, you know, adjust your faceplate or anything like that, you can pull the fuse really quick. Or if you just want to power cycle the unit, you can pull that out for a couple seconds and put it back in. Now on the bottom, this is our bypass switch. It's already wired in for you, and if you see on the faceplate, it's going to tell you which direction you need to put that switch to flip it into emergency mode. So we have the emergency mode and we have the standard mode, and then whichever way you flip that switch is how it's going to operate. So obviously emergency mode is your bypass, and standard mode is it's waiting for activation from the box before it's going to allow the pump to kick on. Another great thing about this box is a lot of times we see that the cap is not put back, you know, on the USB cable. It will eventually damage the cord depending on, you know, where it's located and, you know, how much rain you're getting there and what kind of moisture level you have. You can unplug this directly from the box and plug your USB stick into the box if for some reason this cable gets damaged. Normally we recommend removing it and going into the box until you can get a replacement. That concludes our WonderBox wiring and accessories. Stay tuned for another video. All right.
Okay.
That went back.
All right, that sounds good. Okay, so